Hi, my name is Misty Wilson, and I am presenting um, the Richardson ISD Learning Framework for my instructional leadership project for the spring. The intended outcomes of this video is to share with you the purpose of the learning framework, what it is, and how it will be utilized. Let's start with the why. So, during the process of strategic planning with Engage to Learn, our stakeholders developed a true North goal for all. That's for students, for teachers, for our leaders. And what they established was for everyone in the district to meet or exceed their academic growth goal or their growth goal. And as a part of that design process, specific goals were designed. Goals and results, expected results, were designed to address that true North goal. And that included designing and implementing a system of support to ensure that all individuals could grow. And that system of support would have to include some logistics like where are we going to store this product? What type of training is going to be needed? What are the expectations for progress monitoring and evaluating that? How we're going to celebrate successes and positive results, and how we're going to regroup and reset should we need to. So, what is it? The learning framework really is a tool that supports the growth and learning outcomes for all. And the why do we need a learning framework? What will it do for us? Really, it has a lot of benefits. It is able to provide some structure and support to help people reach their goals, whether that's students or staff. It aligns district initiatives and make sure that they are all getting us to that true north goal. It maps out learning and growth so that people actually have a plan to get there. It's not just some pie in the sky stated goal. It also provides some consistency so that everybody in the district, although your goal may be different, but you all are aware of how the program works and are able to support everybody because everybody's on the same page, or that last point, have common language. So our learning framework looks kind of like this. It's cyclical to a degree, but really it has 5 phases. And those phases are ignite, wonder and discover, collaborate, apply and create, and reflections. And so the framework serves kind of as a resource for instruction and for professional learning. It's kind of multi-pronged, to say the least. For the instructional support part um, of it, it's going to be used kind of as a framework for planning and for planning quality, engaging tier one instruction. And on the professional learning side, the framework is going to be used to support growth goals for adults, for adult learners, but also being able to support academic goals for students, as well as we have a more of a graduate profile goal that we want all of our students to make a goal as well based on our graduate profile and what we want our graduates to leave or be able to do after they finish high school. So I'm going to just explain like one of just kind of expand on one of the phases. Ignite is one of the first phases that we have. And ignite, by definition, means to catch fire or to cause something to inflame, right? So, how is that going to be used? Well, what the instructional leadership team did is they went and identified teacher behaviors that were related to Ignite as well as student behaviors that were related to Ignite, so that we have some guideposts there to look for. Those teacher behaviors are related directly to T-tests. So it's not separate and apart from the evaluation, but a part of the evaluation. So as you're setting up goals, it just aligns very easily to what already is going on in T-tests. And again, as those student behaviors we talked about, the student behaviors are related to that graduate profile and what we really want our graduates to look like. But students can utilize the student behaviors that are listed under each one of those phases to develop their goal, to plan out their goal, to measure their goal, and determine whether or not they have gotten to that point or not. And when you think about the planning team, when we're thinking about, okay, how are we going to evaluate this and determine whether or not it's working or doing what we want it to do, for staff, that's easy. They're going to put together, they're going to goal set at the beginning of the year, just like they did with T-Test, have a beginning of the year conference where they've identified these goals and kind of thought through possibly what type of evidence they're going to collect to show that they are making progress. Principals will be able to, and supervisors will be able to do walkthroughs and observations, offer feedback and coaching, reset if they need to, change directions. But through that T-test process and by collecting artifacts and evidence, that's how we're going to monitor whether or not, and then also being a part of the planning process and in PLCs, be able to see whether or not people are working and utilizing the framework in the way that it's meant. For students, they'll have portfolios, so they'll be collecting evidence along the way. They'll identify their goals at the beginning of the year, and then as they are garnering different pieces of work, different assessments, they can figure out, okay, this piece of work or this data speaks to my goal and how I did on the goal. They can collect something at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year to show their progress, excuse me. And as far as central leadership team and support, their goal through the whole process is to make sure that they are providing the tools and support for each one of these phases, each one of these goals to happen. What is it that the question that central leadership is asking, like, what is it that we can do to ensure the ease of implementation for this and also keep it very, very aligned and very cohesive as to what the goal is of the learning framework? So it's more from a supportive stance. Now, when you think about like what are the successes of this program so far? Now we haven't. It's still in the implementation stage, so we haven't fully. We're in creation. We're building this airplane. We haven't quite flown it just yet. But what the successes that we have seen so far are in collaboration. So as this idea was developed by through our strategic planning and through stakeholder input, then we've had a lot of collaboration and buy-in so far. The other success is that we're aligning what we're already doing and just putting a focus on it so that although it is something new, is not. It's things that we're already doing and labeling it and clearly defining it in a different way. Focused expectations. So it gives us a true opportunity to say, if this is our goal, how are we going to get there and make sure that everybody knows what the goal is and everybody has a pathway and support to get there. Some of the challenges with the planning and implementation so far, as we said, we haven't implemented it just yet, but definitely is change. We know how people do with change. All change is hard, whether it's good, positive, or negative, it does take time. The other thing is timeliness. Like we're just kind of ending the strategic planning phase, and then we've developed this, and we want to have something ready to go for next year, but we're also still closing out school and trying to do these things, and so the timing to ensure that we are putting forth a great plan and thinking through things and make sure everything is ready, so that it doesn't fall on its face and people be like, see, told you, that was just another thing that we're trying to be very intentional about developing something that is quality, so that people find value in it. And sometimes that takes a longer time. We wish we had more time, but we are working within the parameters that we have. Also, a challenge is starting small. So we're not going full force through all of the phases of the framework with every student and staff member in the district. The plan is to pilot this on a smaller scale so that we can review and see how progress is going, and then make changes so that we can roll out a better, more quality product if there are changes that are needed. application to different roles. We talked about how it looks for teachers and for students, but also what does this learning framework mean to someone who may be in a paraprofessional role or a central leadership role? And clearly defining that, and making sure that when that rolls out, people have a clear understanding of how it either applies to them or how they're going to support it. And then evaluation, collaboration. And really, what I mean by that is as we are kind of in the phase of reflecting to see whether or not people have been successful toward their goals, whether it's students or staff, how have we calibrated on that to make sure that one person is not inflating and having a different idea than another person? And so that definitely can be a challenge, and it's something that we are thinking through as we're going through the process. So overall, we when I think about the project as a superintendent and through the lens of a superintendent, I think the benefit of this project is that it really helps clearly define what the expectations are. We know what our true north goal is, but this puts the supports and the expectations behind it to really show that this is an intentional focus that we have, and this is a way to get there. We're going to help and support you to get there. As I reflect on what I've learned in the class, I've learned a lot as far as curriculum is concerned, but I think one of the most important things is alignment. And I feel like this project, this learning framework that we've designed aligns a lot of processes and goals for the district, which I think when you have things that kind of come together and moment, that aha moment, and it aligns, it just works beautifully and helps people really truly stay focused on what is important, and that is the growth for all. And so this is the learning framework for Richardson ISD. And so hopefully we'll be able to come back and keep you posted and speak to how things are going. But so far, we're on a great roll. I hope you enjoyed it and are able to leave some great feedback or questions or wonderings that you may have.